All right, let's get this started. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. My name is Fluffy Misery. This is session 3 of Master Huck's story. We are still traveling through Wildmount. Over the past 2 story hours, we met our adventurers, Duke, Gub, Booma, Nicola, and Craxus, who set out to save the sorceress Balbara. They snuck past some scary lizard monsters who were eating their lunch of adventurers, met up with some bollywogs in the swamp, and found Gar, the giant tortoise, and a friend of Balbara. While hitching a ride on Gar through the swamp toward the fort that captured Balbara, Craxus met up with a strange godlike being who took him on a different path. The party mourned his loss and continued on their journey. Arriving at the fort, Duke and Nicola made a distraction at the front gates, while Booma and Gub snuck around the back. At the back of the fort, Booma and Gub found Warsaw, Mila, and Zavalor, who were being held prisoner. After they were released, the new and larger group made their way toward the large tent in the center of the fort. The tent was guarded by 2 soldiers, and it was suspected that Balbara was inside. There was an explosion at the front gate that had the guards distracted, and Gub took the lead and attacked the first soldier. This brings us to where we left off, and our story begins again. And I forgot to give you your dice. Give me just a minute. That button. So if you type exclamation point roll in the chat. Oh no, I did get it ready. Look at that. Sometimes I'm good. That's what happens when you do stuff the night before. So if you type exclamation point roll into the chat, it'll roll a d20 for you. That button. There we go. Back to where we belong. So this brings us to where we left off, and our story begins again. Let me tell you a story. Roll a d20 and give me a Constitution save. You pee a little, but you're unsure if it's from excitement or terror. Gub gets to the first guard and hits him with the sword. The soldier turns in surprise and stares in shock for a moment before drawing his sword. The second soldier turns and draws his weapon and begins advancing on Gub. "I'll get him!" Mila lunges from behind Gub and brings her fist down on the soldier, advancing. Magic swirling from his fingers, Warsaw joins the fray. "I've got something that might help." The building magic shot from his fingers and slammed into the approaching soldier. The soldier's chest caught on fire. He let out a scream and began to flail until the flames went out, leaving scorched plate mail in its wake. Booma drew her bow and let loose an arrow at the soldiers in front of Gub. The soldier goes down, an arrow protruding from his head. "Thanks, Booma." Gub turns his attention to the second soldier. Gub swung and the soldier dropped to the ground. The party gathers what supplies they can from the soldiers and head toward the entrance of the camp. I can't go back in there." Warsaw backed away from the entrance. "Roll me a d20 and give me a history check." The torture the prisoners had endured was terrible. Warsaw has every right to be afraid to go inside. At that moment, Gar made his appearance. The giant turtle crashed through the walls and right into the middle of the gathered soldiers who were attacking Duke and Nicola. The bollywogs, blades drawn, were at his side. Gar's large feet crashed down onto the surprised soldiers. Soldiers trapped beneath his feet squished between his toes. His mighty head swung and whipped around, knocking more soldiers to the ground. Massive jaws snapped and took a bite, and one of the soldiers was crushed between his mighty jaws. The bollywogs joined the fray as well. their blades soon covered in blood and their bows finding new homes in the soldiers' bodies. "Thanks," the blood-covered Nicholas said, waving his sword in greeting. "You came at just the right time," Duke called over the noise of battle. They rested their trident on the body of a soldier beneath them. "Any time, my fine fellow," Randonk said. "You guys need these bodies for anything, or can we take when the taking's good?" All yours," Nicola gulped, gathering Doog, and went to join the rest of the party. "Find Balbara!" Gar's deep voice vibrated the ground. The pair jumped at Gar's order, and they hurried through the camp to find the rest of the party. They crossed the main yard, past the littered dead and dying. Parts and pieces of soldiers are scattered between the tents and storage barrels. They come quickly to the large center tent where the 2 soldiers lay dead and were stripped of their weapon and armor. They see Gub and Booma talking with tired strangers who are outfitting themselves with the soldiers' armor and weapons. "We think Balbara's in that tent," Booma says, when they see the pair approaching. Duke interrupts. "Who are these fine people?" "Warsaw, Xavier, Mila. These are our friends, Doog and Nicola." Gub makes quick introductions. "Warsaw says he can't go inside. It's too scary." "I'll stay with him," Mila says. "I need to find my weapons." "I'm not scared. I'm just worthless without my spell book," Warsaw said in his own defense. "That's not what you said a moment ago," Booma reminds him. "Let's just go find our belongings. Let's start with that tent over there." Warsaw points in the direction of a random tent. "I'll go with you. I need my bow," Zavalor said. Booma impatiently waves her hands to shoo them on their way. "Well, let's get moving. If you hear us screaming, come help." The group splits up, Mila, Warsaw, and Zavalor going to the nearby tents. Booma, Doug, Nicola, and Gub heading to the larger tent to find Balbara. As the rescuers enter the tent, they see lit candles in the corners of the room that leave behind the faint scent of burning wax. The floor is covered in extravagant rugs in shades of deep purples and reds. A goblin woman is chained to a stone table in the center of the room. She is heavily bruised and struggling against her bindings. A man dressed in deep gray robe stands behind the table, his hands raised in the air. He sounds like he's chanting. He spots the rescuers as they enter. Anger paints his face. His chanting changes, the words emerging from his lips with more urgency. The room warps and twists, the rugs and walls blurring together, and the torturer's shape begins to twist, his spine curving at an unnatural angle as he changes. Gub sees his childhood home, but the walls are a strange golden color. His father is in the main room, holding a hunting bow. "Are you ready to go?" he asks Gub. "I am ready to go hunting with you, Father," Gub says, being pulled into the memory. Doog sees the room transform into their old shop and sees their employee changing the sign on a table of products. "If you change the wording to say antique, I can charge more." Looking through the front window, Duke can see his competitor's business, gray paint worn on the signs, neglect clearly showing. They smile and idly move around a basket full of extra doll and animal heads. This is the perfect life, everything as it should be. A sense of peace washes over Doog. Nicholas sees the room transform into the home he was created in, and the man he calls father. His father is building him a sister on the stone table in his workshop. He's using a knife to carve details into her face. He watches the scene with excitement. He has always wanted a sister. This paradise was everything he ever hoped for. Booma sees the terrifying gray creature for what he really is. Multiple faces sprouting from different places on his blob of body, knife in hand, and torturing the being on the table before him. Booma lunges to attack. "Why are you attacking my employee?" Doog yells, blocking Booma's path. "That's not your employee. That's a monster," Booma yells back, shoving Doog out of the way to continue their attack on the creature. "That's not a monster. That's my father." Gub draws his bow to aim it at Booma. "No, it's my father, creating the sister I've always wanted." Nicola looks at everyone in confusion. "How are we seeing different things?" Nicola asks. "I don't know," Booma says in frustration. "Just attack the monster." Booma is again blocked by the rest of the group. "There is no monster," Gub says. "How are we all seeing different things?" Nicola shouts over the arguing group. They stand in silence for a moment. Balbara's scream calls them to action. "She might be right. My business was the one to fail," said Doog, shaking their head as if to clear the strange vision. "My father died on a hunting trip before I was old enough to go with him." Gub also shakes his head to clear the vision. Nicola raises his sword. "I never got a sister." He moved forward with Booma. Doog moved toward the last place they saw Balbara and felt with their hands to find the chains. Feeling the lock, they moved behind their employee and spotted a keyring. Booma and Nicola swing to attack, Booma attacking a monster and Nicola attacking his creator. Their swords hit their marks. The creature calls out in pain and lightning forms at his fingertips. He points at Nicola and as Gub shoots an arrow into his side. The monster's spell is interrupted and the sparks jump past the wooden man, hitting the wall behind him. Doog moves over to Balbara, using the party's attacks as a distraction. Fiddling with the key ring, Doog sees 10 keys on the ring. Which key? I bet it's this one. It looks more worn than the others. They try a random key in the lock and it pops open. They move to the next arm. As Balbara's second arm is unchained, Doog holds up the correct key for her to finish unlocking herself. The party stops their attack when their fantasy falls to the ground. "I think we've got what we came for," Nicola said, backing away from the collapsed body of his creator. "I don't think so." Balbara stands on shaky legs, takes the knife from the stone table, and plunges it into the monster. The visions of perfect worlds flash out of existence as Balbara slays the multi-faced monster. Its body collapsed into the form of a robed man that they had seen when they entered the tent. The party looks at Balbara, a mixture of shock and understanding on their faces. They are quickly distracted as the tent's ceiling is bathed in a bright light. Massive, glowing gray arms reach through the light, through the tent ceiling, scooping up the robed man and pulling him up to the face of a beautiful gray woman. Thick purple hair flowing over her cheeks and glowing white eyes. The body clears the top of the tent and the light fades. "I think we might have angered a god," Doog said, watching the spectacle. "Why did you kill him?" Nicola asked Balbara. "He killed me twice and brought me back to life. He tortured me and was trying to get a demon to possess me," she responded. "Sounds fair," said Doog, looking around the room for knickknacks to sell. "Looks like there isn't anything too interesting in this place. We should see what the others are up to." They stash found rope and a small knife into their bag and head out of the tent. "We'll probably have to deal with that god at some point. Anyone know who she is?" The party follows Duke out of the tent, no one recognizing the gray woman in the sky. Duke quickly spots Warsaw, Zavalor, and Mila and heads over. Have you looked in this tent? They ask. We found a locked chest, but we couldn't open it, Mila said, lifting the flap and pointing to a solid wooden chest on the far side of the room. Gob, do you still have your lockpick? Duke asked the small goblin. Yeah, let me see if I can get it unlocked. He tries at the lock for a moment, and it springs open. Inside the chest is armor, weapons, and other confiscated belongings. The group passes out the belongings to each other. Well, I think that's all for this trip, Booma said as the group gathered outside the tent. They head back to Gar, passing the bollywogs, harvesting meat from the fallen soldiers and the destroyed tents and walls. Why did the bollywogs not kill us? Nicola asked, seeing the carnage they were creating out of the bodies. I think Duke was really persuasive, Booma said, shuddering. Really persuasive, agreed Gub, giving the bollywogs a wide berth. My fine sirs, are you continuing the journey with us? Duke bellowed to the bollywogs, not noticing the group's hesitation. Roll me a d20 and give me an insight check. Duke has never been good at reading the room. It's one of the many reasons they failed at business. You've been mighty fine traveling companions, but we've got some food here that's going to go bad if we don't salt and dry it right quick. Y'all run along. Next time you find yourselves in our swamp, swing by and drop a hello. Randonk waved at the growing piles of meat that they had to prepare. It looked like it contained pieces of soldiers and deceased bollywogs. No problem. We'll see you later. Booma pushes Duke away from the bollywogs and over to the waiting Gar. So, Balbara, are you ready to head home? Yes. Get me out of this place. Gar, is that you? She says, seeing the giant turtle at the decimated front gates. Balbara, they have found you. Are you well? The ground trembled below Gar's voice. I'm well enough now that I've been rescued. All I want now is a long hot soak in a tub and a tankard or 6 of ale. There is a hot spring on my left side. Hop on, Gar said, lowering himself to the ground so the group could get on. I'll take you all back to Urzin. Thank you for saving Balbara. The party walked onto Gar's back and traveled to the hot spring he mentioned. The steaming pool of water was clear. White rocks bordered the pool, forming the perfect seating. Tall trees surrounded by soft grasses stood nearby, offering shade and a soft place to make camp. A cool breeze gently tickled their faces as they washed themselves, their belongings, and tended to their wounds. The group enjoyed a quiet trip back to Urzin. Sore muscles became relaxed, injuries healed, armor and clothing was mended. Duke made more baskets and some blown glass figurines in the shape of animals, sporting the words, Summer Jagao Games. They hoped to sell them at the upcoming festival. Nicola tinkered on Vox machines, needing to replace the one he had destroyed. And Duke gave him a blown glass animal to try to animate. He got it to wave and sit on his shoulder. Booma got Mila, Zavalor, and Warsaw updated on the group's plans to join the Jagao Games and compete as a team. The newcomers were happy to join and prepare themselves for the contest by practicing their arts. Mila practiced with her sword, Zavalor his bow, and Warsaw practiced his magic. They approached Urzin on the second day. We are here, Gar announced. Balbara ran off Gar's back and over to the giant turtle holding Urzin on his back. "Damn you," she cried. "Thank you for sending help." The massive creature shifted his weight back and forth on its legs, gently shaking the small city in his excitement. "Balbara saved," he said, bringing his face to her small body. She hugged his face, her arms not making it from one nostril to the other. "Well, they have something special," Nicola said as he gathered the others and headed to the gate. "We should get going, or we'll miss the games. Let's let the city know that Balbara is back." The party collected their belongings and headed to the shifting city. They could hear the upset cries of the citizens as they approached. A large ogre approached the group as they carefully made their way onto Damu and to the front gates. "I see you have brought us Balbara back. I am Lord Bufal II. I welcome you, as does our city, as it is clearly dancing and happiness." "That was a perilous journey, my good lord," Duke said. "I feel an increase, and our compensation is very much necessary." "You have done this city a great service. We have a wonderful weapons master in this town. He has a section of magic weapons. You can each have any one you desire from his special selection." Lord Bufal II points them in the direction of the weaponsmith. "That sounds like the perfect compensation," Duke said, heading over to the shop without looking to see if the others followed. But they did, and the party met with the weaponsmith. "Welcome to Bernard's Axe and Things," the burly orc bellowed as he saw the party. "I'm John, and I heard you saved our Balbara and our great town. Come in, and pick the weapons of your heart's desire." He led them to a room in the back, passing by wonderfully crafted swords and axes. The party began to murmur with excitement as they entered the room with their reward. "Here it is. Pick any one you like. On the house for our great adventurers." He left the room and the party looked at the splendor before them. "Roll me a d20 and give me an insight check." You've met someone like Lord Bufal II, and you know he's a jerk. "Why is his name John, and he owns Bernard's Axe and Things?" Nicola asked. "Maybe he didn't want to be known as John the Smith. Who would buy from a smith named John?" Zavalor suggested. "Names are important," Duke said, picking up a sword in front of him. It was a below-average sword. The edges were chipped and the balance was off. There was even a little bit of rust forming where the blade met the hilt. Tossing the sword back into the pile, they leave the shop in disgust. Nicola searched through the piles of weapons looking for a heavy crossbow, unaware of the condition of the weapons. "I think I'll take this one," he said, finding one and holding it aloft. "I've been looking for a better bow." Nicola?" Mila began. The crossbow you have is in much better condition than the one you've got in your hand." "But Lord Bufal said these were magical." Nicola inspected the weapon in confusion. "I bet he says a lot of things," Zavalor said. "I can check, if you really want to make sure," Warsaw offered to help the wooden man. "Can you check it out for me?" Nicola handed the crossbow over to the wizard. Blue light radiated from his fingers as he stroked the bow. "Not magical in the least. I can't actually see anything magical in this shop." "I figured they were worthless when Doog walked out. They'll take any piece of junk, and they didn't take anything from this shop," Booma said. "But if you really want it, maybe you can make it better." Nicola put the bow back on the counter and headed for the front door. No, I just feel cheated. We traveled through some dangerous swamps. Frog people killed lots of birds. We fought off a garrison of soldiers, and all we're offered are some crappy weapons. Maybe we should return the merchandise, Duke said, overhearing the group inside. We could always find the goddess who wanted to possess Balbara and give her to her ourselves. Duke, that's horrible, Booma said, smacking them on the head. It was only a suggestion. Duke headed to the front gate. I think our business is done here. Unless we want to light the town on fire before we leave. Duke, Booma smacked them again. Then let's head to Jagao. At least I know they reward winners there, and reward them well. Duke hopped off Damu, ignoring the thanks from Lord Bufal II. That felt rude, Duke, Nicholas said as he waved goodbye to Lord Bufal. I still feel like we should have given them the refund they deserve. They overpaid for our services. Hurry now. We don't want to miss the beginning of the games. Duke picked up their pace and headed down the road, the sun at its peak sending warmth over the party. The group met up with others traveling to Jagao for the games, sending greetings to all who passed and offering Jagao-colored baskets and figurines. Duke's mood improved as the party approached his hometown. Their hometown. Ah, Jagao! Smell the bargains and the people eager to spend coins to remember these great games. Duke took their salesman stance, hands on their belly, leaning back slightly, taking in the throngs of people. Where do we start? It looks like the games are just beginning. What games do they have? Booma asked, scanning the crowds and trying to make sense of it all. Well, over there it looks like there's a pie eating contest, and then I see turtle wrangling, and a swimming contest, and a puzzle, and a maze. Oh, and I think I see some people in a field over there collecting rice. Nicholas said. Let's start with the closest, suggested Booma. Who's good at eating? They followed the sign to the eating contest, where a massive orc woman is standing on the platform, in front of a tower of meat pies, and a long table faces the audience. Chairs are set up on the back side of the table, so that a skinny human, a small goblin, a male orc, are facing the audience. They each have a large pile of pies in front of them. Welcome to Maggie's Meat Pie Eating Contest, the orc woman announced. How many of you will be competing today? Can we all compete? We're from the same group, Nicola asked. All are welcome at Maggie's Meat Pie Eating Contest, she said, waving the group to the empty chairs. Perfect, Duke said, rubbing their belly and taking a seat next to a small human. I'm Duke. Will you need a basket for your leftover pies? The small human man looked at Duke, confusion clear on his face, and said nothing. The others took their seats as well, and Maggie passed out plates towering with meat pies. When I say go, the contest will start. Last person eating wins. She took her place at the tower of meat pies. Ready? Go, she shouts. The contestants begin eating. Nicola is looking ill as he tries to eat for the first time in his life. He feels the gears in his stomach beginning to clog and throws up chewed bits of pie. You're out, Maggie said. Nicola backed his chair away from the table and began cleaning out his chest compartment. That was unpleasant. The contestants made it to their second pie. Doog, feeling fuller than they ever have, throws up on the ground beside them. The young human male is starting to look sick as the smell of Doog's vomit reaches his nose. He throws up as well. You're both out, Maggie says, and the pair push their chairs away from the table. One by one, the contestants vomit, and Maggie tells them they're out, until Warsaw is the last one sitting and eating away at the pies. And we have a winner, Maggie declares. Congratulations, here's your medal. She hands him a small gold medal with a picture of a pie imprinted on it, on a colorful cloth chain. Good luck on the rest of your contests, and don't forget to eat at Maggie's meat pie shop just off the main street. Ugh, I feel sick, Mila said, holding her stomach. What kind of meat do you think she put in those pies? Zavalor asked as they walked away, his red fur looking a little green. I don't think I'll ever eat another meat pie again. Booma held their stomach in obvious discomfort. Maggie, overhearing the group leave the contest, roared over the crowd. There's nothing wrong with my meat pies, I'll have you know. We mean no disrespect, Maggie. We just ate too much, you see. They were so good we wished we could have eaten more, Gub interrupted the upset orc. I'm sure we'll be back in the morning when we've got hungry bellies again. Humph! Maggie snorted, glared at the group, and walked back to her stage. As the group moved to a safer talking distance, Nicola said, I'm glad I don't ever need to eat. Are cooks always that angry? The rest of the group chuckled, and they moved into the next closest game, the rice-picking contest. This area of the competition was flooded with water. Contestants stood in the watery field, cutting rice with a sickle and placing it into baskets. A small goblin sat on a chair on the dry side of the field next to a sign that read, Rice-picking contest. This looks easy enough, Doog said, eyeing the field. Welcome, welcome. A small goblin stood up from his chair as the group approached. Are you here for the rice-picking contest? He rubbed his hands together eagerly. Yes, we are. How does this contest work? You have a group of two. One who cuts the rice and the other puts the rice in the basket. First one to collect 3 baskets wins. Booma turns to the group. We have an odd number of people. Someone is going to have to sit this one out. The group discusses who is going to wait and who is going to pair together based on their skill sets, and a short, thin human pipes up from behind them. I really need a partner. My larger group has an odd number too, and they left me out. I think we could have you join one of us, Nicola says. Zavalor, why don't you take him? I think your skills and his will pair nicely together. Sure. Zavalor handed the stranger a basket. What's your name? Irvin, the human said shakily. Nice to meet you, Irvin. I'm Zavalor. Let's see if we can win this thing. The group grabs their baskets and sickles and heads for the location in the watery field. Roll me a d20 and give me a perception check. Booma does not look happy with all this water. Doog flips their basket around their arm. How hard could this be? They chuckle and step into the field. Everyone, take your places. Get ready? Go! The goblin yelled across the field. The groups got to work cutting and picking as fast as they could. Their speed was hindered by the fact that no one could pick as fast as the other could cut, or cut as fast as the other could pick. They bumbled and tripped over each other, tripping over baskets, frantically trying to pick up the quickly sinking plants. Someone even managed to nick their partner with a sickle. Roll me a d20 and give me an insight check. No one liked this contest. It involved a roll for cutting and a roll for pickup, and no one rolled over a 10 the entire time. It was horrifying. Eventually, one group managed to achieve what no one else could. "We have a winner!" the goblin shouted. The rest of the groups looked around in exhausted frustration and found the smiling faces of Zavalor and Irvin. They didn't look the least bit tired as they stood beside their 3 baskets full of rice. "Here are your medals." The goblin presented Irvin and Zavalor with small golden medals bearing the imprint of a rice plant. "How—" Mila began. "That was magic if I ever saw it," Warsaw finished for her. "If you ask me, we all just played this game as free labor for the rice grower. I believe we should all feel scammed," Doog said as they walked away from the field toward the next competition. "What do we have next?" Booma asked the group. "I see small tortoises over there and a maze on the opposite side of the road," Nicholas said, pointing to the 2 nearest contest signs. "Want to do the tortoises first?" asked Mila. "Sure, that sounds as good a plan as any," Warsaw said, heading in the direction of the horse-sized baby horizon-back tortoises being led by contestants down the road. Some looked like they were having a difficult time getting the animals to follow. "Before we get there, does anyone see a stall selling walking salads?" "Roll me a d20 and give me a history check." Fluffy, the creator of Doog, once worked for a large catering company. "Give me another roll, insight this time." Storymaster Huck has no idea what a walking salad is. It took almost 10 minutes to explain that a walking salad is just a salad in a cup that you can walk around with at a party. Rumor has it he still doesn't believe they exist. And he still makes fun of the walking salad. But he did come to regret giving Doog their wish to find one. Okay, one more roll and then we'll get back to the story. Give me a survival check. Fluffy Temper's favorite walking salad consists of arugula, sliced roasted beets, canned will do in a pinch, feta cheese, candied almonds, and a balsamic vinaigrette. She swears that even if you don't like beets, you'll love this salad. Now, back to our story. "I think I saw one with the food vendors across the street," Booma said. "Oh, good. Does anyone else want one?" Doog asked over their shoulder while they walked to the stall. Looking confused, the group gave a resounding no and waited for Doog's return. "Ah, my fine sir, may I purchase 10 of your finest walking salads?" "Sure thing, boss. That'll be 3 gold and 6 silver," the stocky imp told Doog. "That's a steep price. I'll give you 2 gold for them," Doog responded. "We don't negotiate here, boss. 3 gold and 6 silver, or you're leaving my line to let the real paying customers in." Doog sighed and handed over the coins. "This is highway robbery. What do they call you, sir?" "Turpin's the name, salad's the game. Now, if you don't mind, my replacement is here and I've got a letter to mail back on my break." "Roll me a d20 and give me a history check." You recognize the name Turpin and you're pretty sure it has nothing to do with D&D. You seem to remember it has something to do with a robber? A highwayman? And you happen to know that there is a hilarious song about Turpin the Highwayman created by the TV show Horrible Histories. I liked it so much, I made Fluffy Turpin for a campaign once. Doug walked back to the group, walking salads in hand. As they approached, they said, "Everyone take a salad. Tortoises like greens. Maybe it'll encourage them to behave for us. We don't want this contest going like the last one." "I was just going to talk to it," Booma said, eyeing the salad in disgust. "Just take it. If you don't use it, I'll take it back," Doug said, pushing the salad into their feathered hands. Everyone took their salads and walked over to the tortoises. There were 20 baby horizonback tortoises milling around with halters on their faces. A tall orc standing near a sign that read, "Walk the Tortoise Contest." "Are you a fussy baby or are you dreaming?" "You're dreaming. I'm sorry." You can't see her. There's a cutest dog sitting next to me. "Huh, Jackie?" And she's making dreamy noises. Okay, sorry. "They might need to look into a new slogan writer," Nicholas said after reading the sign. "They didn't get very creative." "They don't need creativity. We're flocking to their business without the added expense of a witty slogan writer," Doug said. "Welcome. Are you all going to enter the tortoise contest?" the large orc bellowed. "Yes. What do we need to do for this contest?" Booma asked. "You just take a tortoise and walk it to the other side of town. You can't miss the spot. Follow this road straight until you come across a large pen filled with baby tortoises." "Let's get this over with," Gubb said, eyeing the horse-sized baby tortoises. All right, we're going to end session 3 here. Thank you all for joining me. We're going to pick this up next Monday. We'll find out if the group can walk a tortoise, win a swimming contest, solve riddles, navigate a maze, and gain entry into the final contest, and possibly win the big prize. If you want to catch up on past sessions, check out the LikeFluffyTV YouTube channel. It's got added commentary, and I've edited out the dog barking, although they've been blessedly quiet today. I hope you have an absolutely wonderful day, and I will see you back for reading next Monday, and I will see you Thursday evening for Dead by Daylight. We'll do Killer, and then if our friends pop on, we'll play with them as well. All right.